Welcome back to the channel, folks. We're back with a brand new video that's gonna focus on tactics. If you are a possession quick counter player, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I've been struggling with PvP, AI divs, friendly matches, you name it. I'm struggling not so much with the defense, but when it comes to the end product of scoring goals. So last night I stayed up super late. I tweaked my defense, I tweaked my tactics, I tweaked my builds. I was able to come up with something that is delivering goals as if they are paying me to score goals, and it is raining goals. So before I share with you my secrets, make sure you do me one favor, that is to like this video, subscribe if you're not, turn on notifications, and also join our Discord that is in the video description. Also, make sure you stay to the end of the video because I'm gonna give you 2 bonus tips for the offense and defense for both tactics. Now, in just a moment, I will be sharing with you what was the manager I used. You see, I played a few games there, all with the same manager. I scored 31 goals, guys. You know, if you tune into my latest live stream, I couldn't even score goals in my league at this rate. Now, unfortunately, we did lose 1 match there, but I do not take responsibility for that. You could double check that the PlayStation Network went down on July 24th. And you can see that I'm not a liar. And then I played another event and I scored 25 goals in 5 matches, all at the highest level. Okay, so to get started, the manager is very important. You're gonna want a manager that has both possession and quick counter. The one I was using, where you saw me smash all those goals in, I was using Jurgen Klopp. That's my recommended because of the speed and aggression. You can also use Ronald Koeman, who has 89 possession and 88 quick counter. Obviously, there's the new Thomas Tuchel with the 90 possession, 89 quick counter. And there's the classic Hansi Flick with 89 possession and 88 quick counter. Anyways, guys, you get the gist. Just use a manager that has good possession and quick counter proficiencies. Now, when it comes to possession play, it's gonna be a little bit more rigid, the play styles. When it comes to quick counter, it's gonna be a lot more flexible. Now, you can see my setup here. What I have is an offensive fullback. I have another offensive fullback on the other side. I am using a destroyer, and I am using a build-up player. I'm using an anchorman. I'm using an orchestrator with DMF on them, and then I'm using a whole player with AMF on it. Then I'm using a dummy runner. This is very important for the possession part. Now, if you're using quick counter, not so important, but for possession, it is extremely important to use the dummy runner. Here I have Luis Suarez, who's an advanced striker, very good for possession style. Now, for possession, you don't have to religiously use an advanced striker. You can also use a poacher or a fox in the box in this scenario. Now, what I would not do on possession is put a deep line forward right next to a dummy runner on possession, but I would do this on quick counter. And then finally, I have the creative playmaker, Messi. If you're taking a look at this and you're like, but I like a little bit more width, I know you're getting width with Jules Koundé moving up the pitch. You're getting width with Van Bronckhorst moving up the pitch. But if you want a little bit more width, what I would recommend is moving Messi into a right wing forward position. And what I would do is I would give him the individual instructions. As you can see here, there is no individual instructions, nor the quick counter, only one, anchoring. The reason I use anchoring for Messi is because it makes him move like a roaming flank. So if he's out wide, he will be giving you that width, and then he's gonna be cutting inside with that anchoring. Now, if you're like me and you are gonna use them as an AMF, because it just makes it easier for me to score blitz curlers, to be honest with you, I still add the anchoring because I like to keep them cutting inside, going in for that blitz curler. As I mentioned, when it comes to possession, the play styles is the secret to this formation. You want overlapping runs on the side. You're gonna need an anchorman, which pretty much gives you a 3 center back formation. I would also recommend that if you have 2 build-up players in form, it's not gonna be a problem to have 2 build-up players side by side. That's no problem. Now, here I'm going to show you my substitutes. This is not going to be so relevant when it comes to quick counter, because with quick counter, everybody pushes forward when it's quick counter. But when it comes to possession, it is important to have, you know, like a backup dummy runner for possession style. You know, I got my backup whole player right here. You know, I have my backup blitz curler AMF, which is Lamine Yamal. I could play Lamine Yamal instead of Lionel Messi. I could use Dembélé, who is both-footed. So here you can see I like to use Frankie de Jong because he breaks the lines. He's not amazing at defense, but he's good enough. He's going to control possession, which is my main goal with that orchestrator. Now, I have Xavi, who's more of an attacking orchestrator, and I do have a box-to-box Pedri if I want to mix it up. Now here's my backup anchorman, and then I also have a more defensive orchestrator in Rodri. I have my backup build-up, and I have my backup destroyer who can play on the right-hand side, the left-hand side. I also gave right back to Kubarsi. Just in case Koundé is down, I have him to play on the right-hand side. Same thing with Araujo. He is trained to play on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side, okay? So say Alvarez, you know, since he's in D form and you don't have a second good dummy runner, I would suggest maybe a deep line forward SS. Now, if you do put a deep line forward right here, make sure you do have a whole player right there. And the benefit of having a deep line forward next to advanced striker is that he doesn't get in his way, but he does drop deep for the overlapping Iniesta. You can also go with a double advanced striker, Luis Suarez and Eto'o. Like I said, for possession, it's more rigid. When we get into the quick counter tactics, it's going to be a lot more flexible. So speaking of the quick counter tactics, let's switch over to quick counter. Here, you could literally do whatever you want. You can stick Pele as the center forward. You can put Dembele as the SS. You could put Dembele as the AMF and have a whole player as the SS. Gave, you know, these players SS. You can have another whole player play AMF over here on this side. When it comes to quick counter, everybody's pushing forward. The formation is what's most important. Way more flexible on quick counter. You could still use a dummy runner if you want. You could put a dummy runner either as the SS, or you could put the dummy runner behind the whole player. It works the same either way. So a lot more flexibility when it comes to this. I do still prefer to use an advanced striker up top with the dummy runner, whole player. Now, when it comes to defending, you know, say you're deep into Division 2, about to get into Division 1, or you're in Division 1 and you have a 1-goal lead and you don't want to be this exposed, then what I would recommend is putting defensive on your laterals. So that would be defensive on Van Bronckhorst, and I would put defensive on Jules Koundé. And obviously, you would want to keep your orchestrator as a DMF. Now, if you want to play more aggressive, you can bring in Xavi, who's more aggressive, or whoever is a little bit more of an aggressive orchestrator, and play them as a CMF, and then remove the individual instructions for defensive on Koundé and Van Bronckhorst. This is all about using all these different variables at the same time. You figure out what's working best for you in what scenario against what play style. Now, another secret when it comes to possession and quick counter, it's a very risky play style. The high lines, you know, getting hit on a quick counter, you are kind of exposed. So one way that you counter that, number one, if you have track back, make sure you first give it to your laterals. You can see right here, I have track back on my offensive fullback, helps them get back into position. I have not been able to give it to Van Bronckhorst, but I will be giving him track back as an offensive fullback. Now, if you have a defensive fullback, I do not recommend giving track back to your laterals. Now, I even have track back on my anchorman. You can see it right there. I have track back on my orchestrator. I do not have track back on Iniesta, but I probably will give him track back. I even have track back on my Lionel Messi. You can see it right there. Julian Alvarez also has track back, but this is very good to his personality because he has a 77 aggression, 70 defensive engagement. I just would not give track back to your striker. And obviously, you're not going to need track back for your center backs. Now, I also don't think it's that necessary to give track back to your defensive midfield, especially if you are using an anchorman. I do not have track back on my Busquets, who's my backup anchorman. You see right there, there is no track back. I do not feel he needs it because he has 96 defensive awareness, whereas Edmilson has a 93 defensive awareness. I do believe the higher the defensive awareness, the better they're gonna manually track back. All right, so I just gave you a tip or secret to help you with the defensive aspect of this formation. Now I'm going to give you a secret or a tip for the offensive aspect. Here's one of the secrets, guys. Offensive awareness, especially on possession, where it's very rigid on player runs. So you can see here, Luis Suarez has 97 offensive awareness. Julian Alvarez has 95 offensive awareness. Iniesta has 90 offensive awareness. Lionel Messi has 90 offensive awareness. This is going to work especially well on possession. Having 90 offensive awareness on all your attackers, it's a big bonus. Having Julian Alvarez as a dummy runner, especially if you're switching over to possession, it's gonna be very important. So just to recap on possession, the secret is offensive awareness, the different player play styles combined with the formation. Now, obviously, these tactics work best for me as a mostly possession style player. It doesn't mean you can't sneak in there a defensive fullback, you know, or on the left hand side, or a defensive fullback on the right hand side. You know, maybe you don't want to use an anchor man. Maybe you want to use a destroyer version of Patrick Vieira. Tweak it. Do you need defensive instruction on him? Do you need the deep line on him? It's up to you. I'm just giving you a basic blueprint that works for me. You can always tweak this to what fits best for you. There is no right or wrong answers. It's just what works for you based on how you play. I'm just letting you know, man, I was struggling. This is what worked for me. With that said, guys, if you enjoy these types of videos, make sure you drop a like. And also let me know in the comment section if you have any suggestions, any tweaks. And also, guys, make sure you give it a chance. I would recommend a whole phase of playing a certain style. You know, if you're used to playing long ball counter and you're like, oh, I'm going to check this out, see if it works for me, it's probably not going to work for you unless you give it a try. You know, I used to not be able to play quick counter until I sat down on an entire phase and I played quick counter, and then I got the hang of it. But if you're a possession player, you're probably going to hit the ground running using this formation. I did not show you guys my sub tactic because I'm keeping it secret, because I am going to show you that in my next video, which is going to be the haram wall. What it does, basically, it stops the kickoff glitch, which is absolutely insane in deep Division 2 and Division 1. I think on the last live stream, we literally only conceded one kickoff glitch in like 10 hours. So it does work. So make sure you check that out. It's going to be available on the left-hand side as soon as that video is done, or maybe it's done right now. With that said, guys, you take care. I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.